Hey. It's the Rabbit Hole Report tonight. How you doing? Right? Get to see me twice in one day. Yes. Yes. We out here trying to make something happen. All right. So tonight is the Rabbit Hole Report. This is the more investigative side of the branding, all right? Or what we're trying to, or what I'm trying to incorporate. All right. So the idea was to take the Deep State Talk Show, which kind of morphed into its own thing. Excuse me, but ultimately wasn't what I expected it to be, right? I didn't like where it was going. And it felt like it kept me in a box, kept me from reporting and doing the investigative stuff that I like to do. The deep state's cool, but the deep state isn't just groups and politics. So much more to that, right? There's off brands of it and little nonprofits wrapped into it, big billionaires, small churches and pastors, or mega churches and people like Joel Osteen, right? Allegedly, all right, just allegedly. So with the Deep State Talk Show, I kind of scrapped it. Excuse me, filling it out. So I've decided the Rabbit Hole Report, like I did the morning report, which is just more of the morning speed. Get your coffee on the way to work, maybe already settled in, and you hang out. We talk about some conspiracies and some news reports. Now this this is gonna be different. It's gonna be fun. All right. So tonight, keep it real simple. Silent weapons, loud accidents. All right. We understand that this is fifth generation warfare. We understand the tables have changed and the way war is operating is completely different now. All right. So things are different in how they're conducting their psy-ops or how they're conducting their attacks on the masses of America. All right. So earlier I was talking about oligarchies and basically how it's nobility, fame, politicians, uh, military, and a few other people that make up this group of oligarchy or ruled by minority, elitist. All right. Small group of people ruling the masses. All right. Now, how would they rule the masses? I can explain that a couple ways. All right. So before I do, it's always check, look around. Before I get started, feel free to donate. I'm on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify. This episode is live, so it will be uploaded on Spotify either tonight or tomorrow morning. But please feel free. Go through all my platforms, follow me, give me love. TheDailyRabbitHole.org, as you see on the ticker. That's the new website. We've expanded. We're doing big things. Again, if you're on Rumble, go ahead and hit that follow button. If you're feeling generous, I'll take $1 in donation. Thank you. I ain't asking for everything. Just go ahead and throw it out there. I'll take whatever you give. All right. So I appreciate that. Now, let's get into this. Take a sip. I feel like sound is good. Last time we did really good today, and I'm gonna check it now. Normally I haven't, I didn't do this today, but just to be safe, right? I want to make sure, everything sounded good, looking good. The deep state isn't just all right. We're good. Sorry, I had to listen to it on my phone. I'm not like your big streamers and stuff, guys. I'm still raw. I'm rugged. I'm not perfect. I don't have someone working with me. When I say weird, I mean like the entity that is the Daily Rabbit Hole in myself. I'm a one man show, baby. I'm out here. All right. So silent war and loud accidents. All right. Tonight we're going to talk about DARPA. We're going to talk about psychological operations, false flags. What are they? I always think having a recap on this conversation is healthy, just because too many times we hear about this stuff and people dismiss it and say, "Ugh, I don't believe it. Why would they do something like that? If that was true, we would know about it." That's not actually true. You wouldn't know about it because why would they tell you? Who are you? Think about that. Like, who are you? For them to be like, hey, gentlemen, did you know we were shooting dudes out of the sky and burning down millions of acres for smart cities? No, they're not going to tell you that. But they give you subtle hints. They put it in our commercials, in our movies, in our cartoons, in anything, our stories. Like they have technology that they can implant voices into your head. They have technology that they can implant like images and make things happen. They right now you know for a fact that they can put holograms in the sky. Like if you go to New York, you see them and you're like, "Oh, that's real cool." And I'm like, "No, that's Blue Beam. They're setting us up." Even with the whole drones that was going on, that just magically disappeared. Just like the UAP conversation pops up when they want us to not pay attention to something, then they tell us information that we already knew, like UAPs coming out of water. We kind of already figured that. Maybe it was just me, but like I said, if you guys listen to the Navy and go back to their talkings and briefings and whatnot, they've always said they were coming out of the water. So when we talk about DARPA and new technology, LifeLog, and all these little devices and patents that you may have never really heard of, they actually do exist. We're going to go over some of them patents tonight. It's going to be fun. All right, but we're going to start off first with the silent war thought process or conversation, right? So think about this. Silent wars, fifth generation warfare or 5G warfare, more information based, computers, internet, propaganda, uh, just misinformation. The stuff that you're hearing now, people say fake news or sources, fact check. All that's fifth generation warfare. It's just information warfare put out, propaganda. Again, we heard of Mockingbird, the Smith-Mundt Act. Talked about that earlier too. There are a lot of things that played into this theory that everything we're watching is a psyop. It's a huge possibility. Okay. Now, first thing I'm gonna go over. Pull up my presentation camera. There we go. All right. Psychological operations. What are they? All right. Short form of it is psyop. All right. So you hear people say, "Oh man, that's a psyop." What they're saying is it's a psychological operation. Or in business terms, as I've learned, marketing. Because a psyop comes in many forms. It can look like a commercial. It can look like a cartoon. It can look like a greeting card. But if you really pay attention, it could be so much more. What do you mean by that? What do you mean a commercial? All right. Think about how they market shoes to you, right? And market segments and target marketing. Like they have to pick a demographic, say between the ages of 13 and 28 that wear a certain type of Nike shoe. Then they break it down to race, color, race, weight, creed, sport, whatever you believe in. And then they take those ads and they market them specifically to you via the data that they've taken from the internet and understanding what you like based on the cookies and the metadata in your phone. All right. So they've taken what you do in a specific day and giving it back to you in a way to make you want to purchase a product, right? The gist of it with marketing, right? Okay. Now, a psychological operation is uniquely the same thing, but more of a social engineering to get you to think a certain way and react a certain way and move a certain way. All right. Instead of buying something, which the psyop could be you buying Pokemon balls or playing the Pokemon Go game, and people say they were tracking our metadata with that, which is a huge possibility. What I'm saying is, with a psyop, you're basically playing the cat and mouse game on an intellectual level. And what I mean by that is, okay, They tell you to be mad about something. Like what everyone's talking about right now. People say there's fake outrage, or people always changing their profile pictures on Facebook and different social media sites. People just following narratives, thinking that those are real truths. And a lot of times it's a pushed out message or narrative to make you think a certain way and to make you feel a certain way so that they can push policy or agendas on you. All right. Now, there's a lot of forms of them. All right. Now, what I'm going to say angers a lot of people. All right. And what I'm saying is psyops don't have a race, they're not racist. Psyops go out for everybody, they just look differently. You get black psyops, white psyops, Asian psyops, Muslim psyops, English, uh, poor, classism, sexism, misogynism, feminism, anything with an ism. Like, a lot of this stuff is making you feel a certain way, and they're tugging at your little heartstrings because they all know that Americans play identity politics. Like, we identify with so much. Like, looking at me right now, clearly you can see I, Antonio Hare, am a black man. Yes, I am. Does that mean I identify with everything that comes with? No, I don't. At all. No, it's stupid. Why would I? Some of that stuff is detrimental. For white people, it's the same thing. For any race, color, or creed, or nationality, whatever, it's the same thing. I'm saying that a lot of times y'all think like these are real world issues, and they're really just tugging at you because before they were tugging at you, you really didn't care. And you're wondering, like, damn, when you say it like that, maybe. Yeah, you probably didn't care about this issue before they were telling you to care about it. All right. Now I'm going to read this out to you. All right. Psychological operations are operations to convey selected information and indicators to an audience to influence their motives and objectives, reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of governments, organizations, groups, or large foreign powers. All right. This is when we start talking about your coup d'etats being pulled in countries. All right. This is when we talk about corporate espionage. Someone saying, hey, I think their CEO's about to step down and possibly, pull out his savings based on these whatever, whatever, whatever. The market makes a run on him and he loses 50 to $60 million in a day or something. Psychological operation. Same idea. All right. You could do this via the news. You could do this via internet, Facebook. Facebook's proven that they've already done it. I wrote an article on that a couple weeks ago. He's already done that. Basically, he said he ran a psychological operation on 700,000 people, excuse me, unknowing to them, to see how it would test their mood and their feelings. We know that number is far larger than 700,000. All right. It's Mark Zuckerberg. He's going to push the limits. That's just how he is. All right. So when the PSYOP gets out, people aren't catching it. And they just think it's like people caring about people's feelings. And even in your favorite creators that you're watching, you can sometimes tell that they're pushing an agenda or they have a slight narrative to them. Like, you're always leaning with this, but you're not saying nothing about the hypocrisy of this, right? And a lot of times that it gets caught up. And again, creators, everyone has their own opinions and views and feelings about things. That does not always make it a psyop. What makes it a psyop is the blatant psyopy ways you're pushing this information, and you're getting really good information from somewhere. And I know you shouldn't be getting this information because when you hear it, you're like, huh, where'd you get that from? Like, I put out the bare minimum of a certain piece of information, instant red flags. But this person or a gentleman or this lady, whatever, whoever, they put out this stuff and they're getting fired off views. There could be a chance that they're a plant. Controlled opposition. All right. These are the terms that a lot of people are using. Plants. Controlled ops. All right. People being put in place to push narratives and push that propaganda because they have influence. Psyops don't work if you don't have influence. Like it wouldn't be a psyop. You would just be a weird person trying to take over the world in a corner by yourself. That's not how that actually is. You need mass influence. Some of the people that you would think with mass influence would be your politicians, your celebrities, your educators, your entertainers, your wealthy. All right? Those kind of people who, what we would call part of an oligarchy, whether left or right, like I spoke earlier, could all be a part of the same type of psyop, not knowing where the controlled opposition or plant is coming from. All right. Even in the rap game, prime example, people say, not me. Please don't try to come for me. I'm just what the reports say. People say, like, Sexy Red's a controlled industry plant. All right. They've said Drake is a controlled industry plant. They say a lot of people are industry plants. They say that with politicians, generals, educators. My thing is, if you can follow the money, you can follow the person. You can probably follow where it's coming from. Now, does this make it all true that we've heard someone say it? Not exactly. Doesn't make it true. What makes it true is the information that we find and how we're able to correlate that with what's going on with us in real time. And with silent wars or 5G warfare, you got to understand that we're playing on a slanted slope. Like, we're basic level. Like, we're trying to dig it up while they're using it on us. Prime example. All right. Um, one of the biggest psyops I think we have to all admit is the idea of I'll say the idea of the Anunnaki. I think it's a psyop. I think MAGA's a psyop. I think the whole QAnon and 4chan is a psyop. That's just me. I'm not saying that there aren't people working in our favor. I'm saying when you get information and followings like that, you have to be careful of where this stuff could lead you. Like even the Anunnaki idea, it sounds just like the Book of Enoch to a certain extent. Just my opinion. I watch Billy Carson. I watch a lot of people. I saw his meltdown. Shit happens, right? What I'm saying is we thirst for information. We as Americans need a leader, and whenever we need one, they seem to always provide them to us right on time. Think about that. Right on time every time. Psyops are always right on time, and they're very subtle. Prime example: the incident in New Orleans. The gentleman, basically former military stationed at Fort Bragg, which is also home to the 4th PSYOP division. We're going to get into that marketing video that they have, one of my favorite videos. All right. He was also there stationed and deployed with the gentleman who did the Vegas bombing in the Tesla at the hotel, Trump Hotel. Okay. Same gentleman drove his car through Canal Street going down, or Bourbon going down it, hitting poor people and just causing chaos and destruction. Gets out the car, has I think ISIS flag. Saying it out loud, did it make sense to you? Did it sound questionable? What's the chances of two people from Fort Bragg who deployed together, one with special operations and clearly was able to make like improvised devices, and the other one was just like a communications guy, or could be internet or whatever, and ends up disappearing and coming back, and boom. Psyops are supposed to look real, and they usually are because people die, and that's the trick of keeping people from questioning a psyop. People die, and I'm about to. Why do I say that? Because listen to this. All right, it says the purpose of the United States psychological operations is to induce or reinforce behavior perceived to be favorable to U.S. objectives. They are an important part of the range of diplomatic, informational, military, and economic activities available to the U.S. They can be utilized during both peacetime and conflict. There are three main types: Strategic, operational, and tactical. All right? This is Wikipedia. Take it with a grain of salt. I know how y'all get, but you can still cross-reference. You can pull this information up anywhere. This is surface level. It's not new news. 4th PSYOP and the 5th PSYOP division are real. All right. Project Mockingbird was real. MK Ultra and Paperclip were real. Like all the things that people say that hush hush, conspiracy theorists. It's not conspiracy theorists. People were just weird back then and just doing stupid stuff. Think about it. It's all been out there. All right. Listen to this. Strategic PSYOPs include informational activities conducted by the U.S. government agencies outside of the military arena. Though many utilize Department of Defense assets, operational PSYOPs are conducted across the range of military operations, including during peacetime in a defined operational area to promote the effectiveness of the Joint Force Commanders' campaign and strategies. Period. Okay, didn't see that. Tactical PSYOP are conducted in the area assigned to a tactical commander across the range of military operations to support the tactical mission against opposing forces. Now, which ones are we getting? We're getting strategic. They're outside. Now, if you go back, way back to like the 60s and the 70s, where information was kind of being tampered with during Mockingbird, you would understand that a lot of CIA assets were also journalists. All right, so a lot of narratives were being painted, but they couldn't push that propaganda inside of America on the taxpayers' dollars. Now, that doesn't mean they weren't doing it, because clearly they probably were, and I'm sure they were. Mockingbird is there. The church committee hearings are there. All right, it was all part of their hearing. What I'm saying is now, all right, think about the fact that they can do that now legally based on the Smith-Mundt Act, the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. Now they can. At first, this was only to push propaganda overseas to make America look good. But then it turned around and it let foreign agents and entities push propaganda inside of us, also allowing small contracts and government to do the same thing, but on a taxpayer's dollar. All right? This is how the media became propaganda. At one point, we all remember this. I'm born in the 80s, right? So some point I was still watching TV when the American flag came on at night, right? It wasn't continuous programming. It was just, you had your time slot, and then you had people who were talking about stuff that I was talking about, like right now, the government, and you might see like church videos and stuff, right? Of course, the national anthem. Fast forward that, all of a sudden, TV became less informative, which it wasn't as informative as people may have thought, but it was even more informative than what it is now. Now, it's not informing you of shit. It's an entertainment box, right? And a lot of your psyops are coming through the black mirror or your TV, flat screen. It's a black mirror. Netflix, people. Netflix. Follow me, right? So psyops are very easily ran, and they have a 4th psyop division. Now, I have a video. I'm going to show the video. Give me a second to see if I can get this working. It is the 4th PSYOP Division's marketing video, Ghost in a Machine. See if I have my stream set up. I do not. Give me a second. Where is that? Here we go. Whoop. All right. Peep this out. Tell me what you think.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last goodnight while I begin.
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by psy-war.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
Is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping at my skin, the walls of night closing.
But the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
These are the psy-war soldiers.
All right, guys. It looks like marketing, right? Think about this. That's their recruitment video. That's what they were using to recruit for the 4th PSYOP division, was a video telling you how they do it, and they're the ghost in the machine. They're in everything, right? They're in every frequency, they're in every type, click, internet, data, metadata, cookies, they're in everything. They see everything, they hear everything. They smell everything. They can be there without being there. Right? Because that's how the battle is won, is deception. All right? First rule of warfare is deception. Deceive them, trick them, make them think that they're bigger than what they are and they're not. Make them feel strong and then attack them when they're weak. Sun Tzu, like all this stuff that you read about, 48 Laws of Power and 33 Strategies of War, one of my favorite books. You understand that there's a method to the madness when it comes to causing confusion and chaos. It takes organization to cause confusion and chaos. Something that I like to always mention. Like, people always think like, oh, well, it's just it's just run of the mill. It's not just run of the mill. I don't like to think that anymore. Sometimes sure, fate or intervention happens, but just run of the mill, not with these people. Not with people controlling every aspect of life. When I say people, I mean, like I said, the military, the politics, the wealthy, the famous, the educators, just a group of people with like interests who see themselves as the noble minority. Even though, they come off as satanic assholes. That's just my opinion. Now, the process for creating a perfect psyop, right? We talked earlier about, marketing and visual, audio, how they can basically tap into everything about you and push something on you without you not realizing you're being forced to feel something, okay? Says this is the process. In order to create a successful psyop, the following must be established. Clearly define the mission so that it aligns with national objectives. All right. So, what does that actually mean? So, if you destabilize the population via social engineering and social issues, you can maybe rile up people enough to where you can pass some type of executive order, pull guns, kick doors in. You see where I'm going with that? And that's not to say that that's the national objective right now, but I'm saying that if push came to shove, do know that those EOs exist and they're ready. They're there. All right. Two, you need a psyop estimate of the situations. All right. Now, what's going on? What kind of events are transpiring that we can implant ourselves into it to where we can kind of push this and maybe get some nice security takeaways, privacy taken away from, more cameras, more police, more prisons. All right, you see where I'm going with that? Right. Three, prepare the plan. Of course, self-explanatory, project management, preparing it. Media selection is one of the important ones. It's the fourth one, media selection. All right. How are you going to spin this? How are you going to put this out? How are you going to do this? Cigarette, what up? Yep. I smoke it, I drink. I ain't no better than anybody else, but we're here together. Diddly diddly. Media selection's huge though. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, Newsmax, Reuters, BBC. Pause. And what else is there? Al Jazeera, the Jewish Times, the New York Times, the Washington Post. Think about all those news outlets on the same exact page, pumping information down your throat for 4 or 5 days straight. By the end of it, you're gonna feel some type of way. You're gonna feel some type of way because they've pushed this whole idea and this agenda on you, and this is part of the fifth generation warfare. They're getting into your head, making you think a certain way, making you feel a certain way about social issues that you didn't even know you were mad about. All right. Product development. Where are you gonna make this happen? How is this gonna work? Right. A lot of times, product development means testing it in small places or double blind studies. Okay. Just know that. Six, pre-testing determines the probable impact of the PSYOP on the target audience. All right. This is the market segment of all of this. Basically, understanding how is this going to affect them possibly and what could go wrong or what could go right. This is with anything that they do. All right. Seven, production and dissemination of the PSYOP material. Dissemination of the PSYOP material. Now they got to put it out. How do they do that? Check Facebook, check Instagram, check your feed. All right. Now all of a sudden, maybe some memes are starting to slide in from wherever source, and they're starting to push this narrative. If you're smart, you can catch it, right? It's because your feed is trained by what you like. So once you start seeing stuff that you typically don't align with showing up in your feed on its own, and they're pushing it crazy hard for some reason, there's a huge chance that that's the propaganda being pushed, right? Implementation. Implementation may be one of the darkest ones because to implement something is to make something happen. And to make something happen is to take a life or scare a group of people or get media coverage or there's a lot. Implementation is dark, guys. I don't know how much more I could break that down. But it's exactly what it sounds like. Implementation is when the event takes place. Prime example, Uvalde. Implementation, that was brutal, but what gave it away was the cops standing there letting it happen. Hard pause. Think about Uvalde. Think about the gentleman that did it, how he had a Daniel defense rifle. Think about all the stuff that you hear about some of these stories, and then think about what I'm saying to you right now as you're watching this. Number 8 is implementation. There's a few events in history that people regard as possible psy-ops, false flag events. Now, when I again for disclaimer, I'm saying just because it's a false flag does not mean people didn't die. Do not come in my comments with that stupid shit. I know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is taking over commandeering events is very common to them. Like something happens and they're like, oh, we could use this to our advantage. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't mean people didn't die, because death makes it a lot easier to swallow. Unfortunate truth about that. Number 9, post-testing, evaluate audience responses. Now, the media is checking their numbers. The media is checking prime time. What are we going to talk about? Are we going to get Ben Crumpton on there with the family and we're going to get all the photo op and talk? Are we going to bring like the pro-black famous celebrities to come speak for the whole entire black community when a young black person gets gunned down by a cop or some stuff like that? Yeah, they do that. I'm saying it out loud. It's very true, right? They do it the same way when a white person gets shot or an Asian gets shot. All of a sudden, there's Asian correspondents. There's Asian professionals. The story sounds different when, they tend to paint these stories differently, each person. Prime example, I think it's 2023 or 2022 where the older Chinese gentleman in California went on a shooting spree. Dude was like 70 years old with a short barrel rifle. Look, guys, I'm gonna be real about something. Asians aren't inherently known for mass shootings, okay? But again, like we were reading, how does this help national objectives? Gun legislation in California, gun legislation across America, sweeping, EO, something. There's always something to put in place that we didn't know we needed. People be like, we didn't know we needed the Patriot Act, but 9/11 showed us, hey, we clearly aren't doing our jobs. The government is not doing their job so much that 19 people, mainly Saudi Arabian, Pakistani, couple other nationalities in there, mainly Saudi, who couldn't fly a fucking farming Cessna plane or a simple plane. Sorry, I'm not like an aviation person, but I'm stating the obvious. All right. And who just so happened to get past everything in the airport, get on the plane, even though, we know the cockpit's locked and there's a gun in there. It's supposed to be. I guess that was a lie. And there was no air marshal those days either. Just so happened to steal 757s in 9/11. 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about this same thing. And another 20 years from now, because it's already been 20 years and people say that it was a false flag event. So officially 20 years later, it's going to come out like we're talking now. Hopefully the Daily Rabbit Hole is much larger in status and growth. And we're going to be sitting here and I'll be like, I told you 20 years ago, they were going to come out and say it. They did. Number 10, feedback. Feedback is basically how we're swaying in the votes, how we're feeling, how we're looking at it, and then they have their own data models that they can compute and they can say, hey, this is where we can go, or we can go this route. That's a psy-op. Before these steps can occur, intelligence analysts must profile potential targets in order to determine which ones would be most beneficial to target. In order to figure this out, analysts must determine the vulnerabilities of these groups and what they would be susceptible to. The analysts also determine the attitudes of the targets towards the current situation, their complaints, ethnic origin, frustrations, language, problems, tensions, attitudes, motivations, and perceptions, and so on. Once the appropriate targets have been determined, the psyop can be created. Bam. Boom. I explained all of that before I even had to read it. I'm telling you now, if this is well known, documented information, what makes you think what you're watching in real time is what you think it is? Sure, everything is not a conspiracy. I understand that. What I'm saying is there's a huge chance that everything is a lie. All of it. The JFK files have already come out. There's really nothing in there that we didn't already assume. First of all, we were very aware that the CIA had something to do with it. His history with the CIA would tell you that they had something to do with it. His history with the mafia would also tell you that could be a reason. His history with Israel and telling them no nukes and not wanting to send so much money over there and also trying to get rid of the Federal Reserve. And it was probably because he did a speech about secret societies too. Now, there's a multitude of reasons why they offed him. Now, who did it is the $1,000,000 question. Did Lee Harvey Oswald do it? I wasn't there. That's who they said they did it. But I know better because I'm talking to you about psyops, trying to make you understand what I'm saying right now. The information that's already come out has already stated that the CIA has some involvement with it. That's not a secret. That's not anything new. Just like we know the FBI has something to do with Martin Luther King and his mom. Just like CIA has something to do with Malcolm X. They exonerated the two gentlemen who were allegedly the shooters who killed them. They were exonerated 2-3 years ago. They're free. Old as hell, but they're free. So, what I'm saying is that within our intelligence agencies, it is known for some time that a lot of this stuff is coming from them. We aren't the ones doing it. Do I look like I'm trying to run a psyop on you right now? Like, I don't have the means to run a psyop the way they're running a psyop. I like to call mine marketing. I'm not trying to like force you to do anything. I'm not trying to sway you into something strange and uberly weird. That's not what I'm trying to do. I find a sweet spot with giving you guys this information and I kind of rock out with it. It's just my thing. But nowhere in here am I sitting here trying to get you to cut your genitals off, nor am I trying to get you to do something crazy. All I'm saying is in the event that it comes off as a psyop, we should all start accepting it as face value psyop. That's all I'm saying. Psychological operations should be planned carefully in that even a tactical message with modern news media can spread worldwide and be treated as the policy of the United States. The U.S. Army is responsible for military psychological warfare doctrine. For PSYOP Division in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, formerly known as Fort Liberty. Think about that, okay? U.S. PSYOP forces are generally forbidden to attempt to change the opinions of U.S. persons, citizens, residents, or legal entities in any location globally. However, commanders may use PSYOP forces to provide public information to U.S. audiences during times of disaster or crisis, information support to a non-combatant evacuation operation, NEO, by PSYOP forces to provide evacuation. Oh, hold up. Did I read that? Nope. Sorry. Evacuation information to U.S. and third country nationals would also adhere to the order. You know how you think you read something twice? That was that. The use of PSYOP forces to deliver necessary public information to a U.S. audience was established in relief activities after Hurricane Andrew in 1992. Tactical psychological operations were employed to disseminate information by loudspeaker on locations for relief shelters and facilities. Basically, just rolling down the street and being like, hey, we are here to help you. Do not shoot us. We are here. We have supplies. We have aid. That's us. Please don't shoot. That. Now, in older eras of war, people would drop leaflets, like in Leave the World Behind, where they dropped the leaflets and it had the Muslim writing on it. That's psychological warfare. Would scare the shit out of anyone who start raining down propaganda with another country's words on it. Scare the hell out of anybody. That's what happened in Leave the World Behind. Okay, that's a psyop. All right, now we got the fair understanding of psyop. I gave a lot of love to this. Now I'm gonna jump over the false flag. All right, now follow me. A false flag operation is an act committed with the intent of disguising the actual source of responsibility and pinning blame on another party. The term false flag originated in the 16th century as an expression meaning an intentional misrepresentation of someone's allegiance. So, when we say false flag out loud, we mean someone is acting like someone else, but it's not them. It's actually someone very close to us. Because, can't sink a ship from the outside, really. Sometimes you just got to poke a hole in it. And that's what people do from inside of America. And sure, I'm not denying foreign agents. I'm not denying that there aren't KGB spies and Australian spies, UK, MI6, Mossad, all these other people. I'm not saying they don't exist. What I'm saying is that you don't know where it's coming from, and it could be any one of those people, depending on who's working what, who owns what, where the money's coming from. This is why all this USAID and USIP information is funny, because these are like the little slush funds that could be funding these psyops. Makes sense to you now, right? Getting what I'm putting down? You feel it? All right. Where was I? The term was originally used to describe a ruse in naval warfare whereby a vessel flew the flag of a neutral or enemy country in order to hide its true identity. The tactic was initially used by pirates and privateers to deceive other ships into following them to move closer before attacking them. So, if I wanted to use an example, I'm going to use 9/11. All right. So, they told you it was them, but it technically was them. It was the people that said that they did it. What they didn't tell you was the people who helped them do it and fund them and get them along. Now, while people say, sure, there is no definitive proof, if you go to the committee hearings, that's not exactly what they say. You have to read the words and comprehend what they're saying in so many words. While, yes, they were Middle Eastern in origin, there was a factor of outside influence and money and how they get in and who was backing them after so many warnings from people around them. Sound familiar? Sure. There's a lot of people that they got briefings on and didn't say anything and kind of let it happen. Maybe they wanted to see how it fit the national objective. Situations like false flags and psyops are what I'm talking about with fifth generation warfare, DARPA, new equipment, technology, because there's so many ways to go about it. Like there's so many avenues and methods that they can use against us. We are just common people taking this what once was the Department of Education curriculum, and we've been told what to think, we're being told what to feel, and we're not understanding that we're being guided and manipulated, or it's just pure social engineering, right? So, how does this go into, let's say, political campaign? Right? Political campaigning has a long history of this tactic in various forms. including in-person, print media, and electronically in recent years. This can involve when supporters of one candidate pose as supporters of another and act as straw men for their preferred candidate to debate against. This can happen with or without candidates' knowledge. The candidate letter is an example of one candidate creating a false document and attributing it as coming from another candidate in order to discredit the candidate. That's a false flag. So, example. Let's think of an example. Let's think of something in history that sounds maybe close to that. We could say maybe the Trump and Kamala debate. That clusterfuck of an event, right? Where he would go on ABC or these other Democratic left platforms and he would face staunch disagreement, people against him. Just maybe his hopes was to show people that they're working against him, right? That's part of the psy-op. Now, when we talk about ideology, it gets a little bit different. It says proponents of political or religious ideologies will sometimes use false flag tactics. This can be done to discredit or implicate rival groups, create the appearance of enemies when none exist. When none exists, you create one. And Americans are going to do what? America! Fuck yeah! Come in to save the motherfucking day. And we didn't fall into some damn NDAA Patriot Act, and now we've been in war for 20 years, wasting time and money while the MIC made all their money off of us. You see how that national objective got turned on us? Silent. You never saw it coming. You just got smacked with it, right? Okay. Where was that? This can be used to gain attention and sympathy from outsiders, in particular the media, or to convince others within the group that their beliefs are under attack and in need of protection. Do you know what that sounds like? You want to know what that sounds like? Here's an example of what that sounds like. It sounds like the current state of America right now with ideology, because you guys got to identify with everything. And I keep telling y'all, stop identifying with everything, because they're reeling you in with that, right? They tell you your beliefs and your livelihood is under attack, and they tell you things like someone's coming in, they're gonna take all your rights away and take your guns away. And that don't even be the actual case. I'm gonna read that again. This can be used to gain attention and sympathy from outsiders, in particular the media, or to convince others within the group that their beliefs are under attack and in need of protection. All right, now let's reverse this. The conservatives are in office. Their values have been protected. Trump is in there. Now, who's on the other side of that? Liberals. Liberals think all their beliefs are under attack right now, and they're scared shitless. So they're willing to do anything and be stupid extreme just to get what they want, which means anything, right? You have people pulling guns on each other. You have people beating each other up in the streets. You have people doing all of this stuff because they're scared of one side while the other side is scared of them. It's the stupidest shit in the world, but we keep doing it. And it blows my mind why we keep doing it. All right. So before Trump got in office the second time, America was falling apart, which America has been falling apart for some time. I don't ever want to get in here and act like Trump is a savior. I have learned a valuable lesson from learning from history to stop doing that. All right. People follow Jim Jones, psy-op. All right. The Waco incident, psy-op somewhere in that. Like, it ain't what you think it is. That's what a psy-op typically is, right? There are so many events that have proven in America that shit, 7 out of 10 times, it's probably a psy-op 70% of the time. 70. I got it at 70 in my opinion. If you look at the events that they tell us on purpose, like the Manson murders, the Unabomber, Waco, Jim Jones, any cult in the last 20, 30 years. Aurora, Colorado, Vegas, Vegas, Vegas. Okay. 9/11, all of this stuff has been some type of attack on one side from another, and no one really knew where it was coming from. So it just put everyone in an uproar. People bought guns, people bought ammo. Gun sales will never go down because people are scared. The more guns we buy, the richer they get. We got a lot of guns and we don't know what to do with them. We just out here scared. All right. Listen to this. In the retaliation for writing The Scandal of Scientology, some members of the Church of Scientology stole stationery from Arthur Paulette Cooper's home and then used the stationery for forged bomb threats and have them mailed to a Scientology office. The Guardian's office also had a plan for further operation to discredit Cooper, known as Operation Freakout, but several Scientology operatives were arrested in a separate investigation and the plan was exposed. According to PolitiFact, who we know who has had slush fund funding from USAID, some of the false flag conspiracy theories, such as claims as mass shootings or hoaxes, are themselves spread by astroturfing, which is an attempt to create false impression of popularity and a belief. Some concepts of that is an agent provocateur, black propaganda, casus belli, denial and deception, fear mongering, frame up, foreign organization. All right. These are terms that are used during false flag events. State terrorism, right? State terrorism is a terrorism that a state conducts against another state or against its own citizens. State terrorism, right? False flag event. State terrorism, say someone else did it, but it was the state. You want to think of an idea or an example of one? Let's go ahead and cross over into DARPA. Let's talk about some state terrorism. Let's think about Lahaina. Let's think about Palisades. Let's think about Asheville, West Virginia, parts of Florida. Let's think about anywhere who's had some strange weather anomalies, strange sightings of lasers. Got a DARPA video I'm going to pull up. I want to show you guys. So before we get into that, thank you for watching. I appreciate you all. Please feel free to follow me on Rumble, subscribe. I'm on Spotify. Feel free to donate. I'm on all social media platforms. Check me out. Daily Rabbit Hole. I'm on all platforms. Some of them is just the Daily Rabbit Hole. All right. Again, I'm Antonio Hare. I appreciate you. It's a good show, right? You feeling it? You feeling it? I got you. All right. Pull out a video for you guys. A second. This is the DARPA Anti-Crisis, talking about different ways that DARPA has new technology and they're using it to kind of conduct, bring in the quote unquote B system or the Antichrist. Of course, Neuralink is involved in this. We got Elon allegedly. Just saying all this is still alleged. Take it with a grain of salt, but here you go.
You ever wonder what kind of spiritual technology the rich, powerful, and elite organizations work on in secret? Those that have unlimited resources, time, and above-the-law leeway. Welcome to DARPA, the psychotic invasive branch of the Antichrist. Take 2. Top 5 bizarre spiritual technologies DARPA's working on. And don't worry, I won't mention the robots designed to consume biological material as fuel, or nanotech that's woven into clothing that's wash-resistant, and can either monitor or send frequencies to... Take 3. Since Project Pandora in the 60s would use microwave radiation to control human behavior, extreme efforts have gone to get inside of the human brain, and they've been working on neurotech, which is basically a brain interface with robots. This brain-machine interface is the beginning of the cyborg generation, or fallen angels in robot bodies like the Transformers type generation. Among other spiritual tech, here's a few more. Check out the Smart Dust, the world's smallest commercially available RFID chip. Been around for at least a decade.
Smart Dust. So what is Smart Dust? Well, general purpose computing, sensors, wireless network, networking, all bundled up into millimeter scale sensor modes, drifting in air currents, flecks of computing power settling on your skin, ingested, monitoring you inside and out, and can be pulse powered by radio waves. It doesn't require a battery. You can literally scatter this stuff like dust or embed it into a sheet of paper. And you know what the really interesting thing about this technology is? This was commercially released 10 years ago, and you haven't really seen anything yet.
Or synthetic telepathy, which there's patents for. Sonic projector devices, meaning sound, V2K, which is known as voice to skull. Also, there's the realm of dream advertising, which also has patents and is something that happens. All these Antichrist mind control patents. Take 4. CRISPR super soldiers. Genetics technology plus processing and rituals to create invulnerable super soldiers. There's organisms that thrive on radioactivity, and there's already been experiments to insert some of these radioactive thriving organisms into humans, as well as animal-man hybrid type of science. Various traits include heightened senses and tolerance, gecko-like climbing grip, breathing underwater, etc. There's implantable nanobiosensors. The idea is having biosensors implanted in the bloodstream to be communicated with from outside of the body or off-site, using radio and EMF waves, scanning and reading biomarkers, probably monitoring everything. Probably straight on that one. And there's also the Avatar Project, which is basically uploading your consciousness. The alleged DARPA Avatar Project, a sentient world simulation run through a series of high-powered quantum computers. It has a digital twin of you inside of this quantum computer simulation. All for entertainment purposes, by the way. This is technology that can read thoughts in real time and feed them into the digital twin inside of the sim to predict your behavior and see it beforehand, as well as outcomes in the entire world. And also through the principle of quantum entanglement, they can also probably use it to put stuff in your mind. And don't worry, these are just a few. I didn't even mention shape-shifting programmable matter, flying boats, bullets that can be adjusted after being shot, digital tattoos, invisibility tech. If you think all this is crazy, this is only what they've admitted to. Hence the speculation at the intro, what's being done in secret. In close, it's always been about getting inside of the human body, inside of the human brain. That's what it's always all been about. The fusing of these fallen beings taking over humanity. DARPA with the Brain Initiative, Neurotech, Neuralink Science that Elon Musk is working on, and a slew of other agencies besides just DARPA. You see what time it is. If you research into it, you'll see that DARPA and CERN are both connected to the origin of the internet, and also where this technology comes from, and how humanity is being baited and led into these scenarios. Into the endgame where it's leading us all. The full-fledged Matrix. Been the plan this whole time. The computer, this big box shrunk down to the phone, was always meant to go inside of your body. Think mark of the beast. And hey, they don't call it the battlefield of the mind for no reason. Make sure you're wearing your helmet of salvation. See you next time.
All right. That's savage truth. All right. Follow that guy on TikTok. It's pretty cool. Could be a psy-op. But information was still good. All right. Now, what exactly is this gentleman talking about? Right? He said a whole lot of words. People were like, I don't really know what any of that shit meant. Cool. I got something for that. All right. No, no, and no. Here we go. What is this, Antonio? Well, if you look closely, they're patent numbers for dues and targeted individual patents. All right. Now, these are real patents. And if you don't know who DARPA is, DARPA stands for Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. All right. Wanted to show you that little quick snippet. We're going to get into that. But for visual purposes, I want to show you something. Yeah. You guys know I always got graphics. Where is it? Here we go. This is the DARPA Deep State Map. All right. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Make sure you guys get a good eye for that. All right. Full screen. All right. Now, Deep State Mapping Project some years ago, once all this deep state stuff started coming out, and again, psy-op could be propaganda, but I'm not going to front to you. well put together map of how everything is intertwined with what the gentleman was saying with as far as um, interdimensional beings or demons or the mark of the beast being involved with DARPA. This is where this is coming from, right? Like, so the mark of the beast or the chip in the brain thing is real. Neuralink has put 3 chips in brains already so far, and they seem to be working just fine. All right, now if you believe what happened in 2020 as far as pandemic and nanotech, hey, it's hard to prove a lot of this information without getting banned in the same conversation. So what I'm saying is, hey, keep digging on that, do your research. What I'm saying is there might be something to it, just a hair, right? Now this DARPA map I thought was really dope, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you're really looking at it, if you don't have one, um, email me. I have a copy. More than welcome to send it out. Hit me up. I'm not gonna sell these other people's stuff. I didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at the map, you see the demiurge on one side and you see Yahweh on the other. You see the all seeing eye at the top of it. Goes down to the President of the United States. Basically, the all seeing eye is over everything. The Defense Secretary and then the Pentagon in the middle. DARPA is the brainchild of all of this, right? But what this is basically stating or trying to show you is that DARPA is intertangled into everything from Wall Street financial data to Google, Amazon, and allegedly, I think it's his grandfather started DARPA, Jeff Bezos' grandfather. Haven't proven that one yet, still looking it up. But what I'm saying is typically there's some link to each other in this. So algorithms, the super soldiers, cellular networks, smart cities, nanites, dark web, cyber warfare, everything that you can think of, even the 8chan is on there at the bottom. And I want you guys to understand something. This is a hierarchy chart to a certain extent. If you look at the bottom, it kind of shows you what we're at. Like if we were regular people and we are trying to find out where you were at on this chart, you're at the bottom with this crushing your soul right now. You're holding it up like, oh my God, we're holding up all of this because DARPA has created everything that we're using. I'm not gonna sit here and act like the internet, the dark web, Bitcoin, crypto, all that did come from DARPA. Look, guys, I know you guys believe in this Satoshi Nakamoto thing. Look, guys, it was a pseudo Japanese person who created this coin allegedly. And then I think maybe not even two, like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a court case for a gentleman in Australia who said he was the guy who created Bitcoin, but he had a partner in which he died. All right. I don't know if that was a psyop or it was the real thing. I couldn't tell you. What I'm saying is there's a huge chance that crypto is just a new level of the internet and the level of where they're going with the quantum financial system. This is why people are talking about the QFS and XRP, Bitcoin, Litecoin, all these cryptos right now. This is because that's the narrative being pushed, which crypto could be a huge psyop. I need you guys to understand crypto's only been out since 2009, technically, right? It ain't even a full 20 years old and it's already accepted in actually all of the institutions. That should tell you that there would be no currency more superior than the dollar itself if they weren't ones switching us over to it. Think about that. They didn't let no other currency thrive in America besides crypto. And you know, you got to do that in the back alleyway of your cell phone for the most part for the last 10 years previous, but now it's easier. What I'm saying is that if it wasn't worth a fuck or it wasn't part of the change, it wouldn't be here. The change is coming regardless. Reject it, do what you need to do what you have to do. If you're gonna profit from it, profit from it. What I'm saying is crypto is a creation of DARPA. And you just don't know it. And that's how this has been working. Like they have patents, they have technology that we don't really understand. Like all the stuff that we got right now is just basically what they don't use anymore, or it's commercial use for us now. But the idea is that they have all of this stuff. Now, if you look to the top right, you're going to see the word DEWs, direct energy weapons. All right. EMP, the stuff you've been hearing about, having EMP attacks and losing all the lights and stuff, right? They've been running that psyop. They ran that all of the last 4 or 5 years. I've talked about EMPs. The chances of them doing it is only if this whole shit show falls apart right now. That's just my opinion. If it was really ready to fall apart and we really understood what was going on, without a doubt, they would probably cut the lights out and start over. It'd be the biggest psyop false flag in damn world history. One of the largest. They got a few, I believe. All right. So DARPA is the think tank for all of this information that I'm talking about right now. False flags, psyops, like the media, how they're gonna push it. Even DARPA's LifeLog, which we know as Facebook, is a DARPA creation. Mark Zuckerberg is the false flag psyop. Right? It's not what you think it is. Right? Sure. Does that sound absolutely insane? Yes, it does. Is there a chance that it still could be true? Sure. All the stuff that I'm talking about is involved in DARPA, MK Ultra, economic warfare, occultism, the rituals, the Rothschilds, Switzerland, the rail, the high-speed rail that they got underground. Like you go back to the, I think it's the Gutenberg tunnels where they did that weird ritual. That played into DARPA also. That was like their tunnel design and idea for like hypersonic trains or something. Believe it or not, entirely on you. What I'm saying is there's a huge chance that this stuff is actually happening. Now, what am I doing? Right now, I have a whole bunch of US patents pulled up that are involved with direct energy weapons or targeted individual patents or gang stalking. All right. Someone was so kind to create this and put it on the internet. You always got to do your due diligence and check the patent numbers, and they all turned out to be legit. All right. Now, listen to some of this stuff. Right. We have pulsative manipulation of the central nervous system, method and device for producing a desired brain state via magnetic waves. Weapon with integrated target systems to locate target, damage, disrupt electronics, biological entities, and physical structures. Remotely transmit intelligible subjective sound into a target consciousness. Voice to skull of V2K. Listen, Blue Beam. I said it. I said it again. Blue Beam. Blue Beam's idea was to get Americans to fall in line with the New World Order or whatever you want to call it, the attack on Christianity, the satanic takeover, whatever you call it. They were going to either fake an alien invasion or the second coming of Jesus or do both. And basically they would try to scare you and then bring you together on some one world. The Messiah came back for all of us and now we got to unite. But what's really happening is it's all holograms and technology, and we can't tell the difference because they got technology that can go in your skull and tell you things and show you images. So when it happens, will you be able to decipher if it's real or not? Probably not. Will I be able to decipher? Probably not. I might have to sit here and question my own sanity at that point and be like, is this DARPA or is this the real thing? And I'm just gonna have to safely go with my gut and say it's DARPA. Because if he was going to come back, he would have came back. And I'm saying he ain't going to do it in a magical pop up in the sky kind of way. So the V2K, which is original signees of United States Air Force, all right, I'm going to pull this patent up now. I'm using Brave, right? This is the Brave browser. Pull that up, type that in. Here you go. We have Google patent, unified patents. Apparatus for audibly communicating speech via radio frequency hearing effect. See how easy that is? You just type it in and look for it. It's crazy how that happens, right? So we know that this is a real patent. It is something that's been discussed in Bluebeam. This is not anything new. This is not anything unheard of. This is something that's very, very real. All right. So that's one, right? Let's just pick another random one. Let's see. Alters mood, emotion, sleep states via remotely applied frequency and waveforms. James Gall. All right. Let's see. Let's pull that one up. Let's see what it says. Patents for directed energy weapons. Google patents. Method and system for altering consciousness. All right. Listen, these patents are real. DARPA's real. There's a lot of things that are going on now. Does DARPA have a central headquarters? Yeah, in the Pentagon, in a hidden office that no one can probably find unless you're really important. But you can usually find them in most institutions like MIT, Harvard, any college campus with a science lab or a science program or some type of donation or whatever. You know how this elites roll. They donate, they build buildings, and then they do their research there. All right. So we click on it. Imagine having to verify you're not a robot to a robot. How stupid it is. It says a system for altering the state of human consciousness involves the simultaneous applications of multiple stimuli, preferable sounds having different frequencies and waveforms, because you see in colors, you get waveforms. Relationships between the frequencies of the several stimuli exhibited by the equation of G equals Sn divided by 4xf, where frequency equals F equals frequency of one stimulus, G equals frequency of the other stimuli or stimulus, and N equals a positive or negative integer, which is different for each stimulus. This is real. So they can literally implant anything in your head and you don't know it's real. You could think it's a video game and you didn't went out and now that I say that out loud, that's real crazy. Like you could probably you thinking you're playing some VR game, right? And you done went out and pulled a GTA out in the open. I don't like saying it. You know, it's just horrible. Mass shootings and just going out and shooting people for no reason. A lot of people ain't unhinged. A lot of people might be under MK Ultra or some type of mind control dude. And I know that shit sounds crazy. I get it. I understand it. But what I'm saying is tonight, looking into it on the investigative aspect, it's there. This is the whole point of the rabbit hole report. We pulling up some stuff and we're sitting here all looking like, well, maybe there's something to it. Like there are a lot of patents for frequency-based weapons and frequency-based manipulation devices, and just different software and technology that they have that they can do this. Intraoral electric tracking device that can be implemented in teeth and dentures. You can look. You guys seen those old spy movies where prime example? That sounds like you ever seen that movie Bait with Jamie Foxx? He gets hit in the mouth with a brick and they put like a tracking device in his shit. Intraoral electric tracking device can be implemented in teeth and dentures. They put a tracking device in his mouth in the movie. That's the same exact thing. And this is around April 2000, May 2001. This is about the same time that movie came out or before it or after it. What I'm saying is predictive programming much? PSYOP much? You show us what you're doing so that maybe we're not so shocked when we hear about it. Like me reading it out to you, like, man, I already knew that. Whatever. But you don't know who you're talking to. This person can walk up to you with a whole tracking device in his mouth and you don't know. You over here checking him for a wire like you gonna find something. It's in his mouth. Now you gotta punch him in his shit one time just to make sure. Just saying. Just saying. If you don't know if he has a tracking device and you can't find it, punch him in the face. Now he might have something in his mouth. You never know. There are plenty of different patents on here that exist and that are real. And they say they're expired or they're not in use anymore, but that doesn't really mean anything if you didn't know that they had it anyway. We have another one that says controls human brainwaves by superimposing hidden phrases onto music signals. So a song could activate you. Like you could get programmed by a song and it could activate something to where you go commit some type of atrocity. Again, this is part of the silent warfare. These are all tactics that have been used. These are all part of the psy-ops, the false flags, and a lot of things that people don't fully understand, or you're curious to why this person walked into this store and did this, or you're curious that this person walked into this place and just opened fire. Sure, some people are having a bad day, but it don't go down like that though. A lot of these situations are real questionable and suspicious at times, and too many times the whole idea or people just it's hard to question them because the loss of life and the casualties involved. Like Vegas is a hard pill to swallow for people to mention, and there's a lot going on that day. There are situations via weather, via frequency and ionosphere that people don't want to talk about, and that leads to DARPA. We're talking about HAARP, like weather manipulation, cloud seeding, stuff like that. That's all. That's real too. How do I know? I have the patents for that one too. I got patents pulled up for that one too tonight. These patents are real. So we know someone created it and used it for it to actually be a patent. You have to make it work, make it happen. So always think about that. All right? Think about that. Now that I'm mentioning HARP, all right, HARP is still playing in to the whole DARPA and the mind altering and Project Bluebeam. HARP has multiple ways to operate, just like DARPA has multiple avenues to operate. Like no one device just does one thing. All right, where is it? Here we go. All right, this is on zerogeoengineering.com. All right, first weather patent, method of producing rainfalls, founded July 16, 1891. We're gonna click it. We're gonna see we're gonna see the actual extra old document, right? I'm not gonna read all of it, but I'm gonna read a little bit of it. It says my invention relates to a method of producing a rainfall, and it consists in several steps hereinafter fully described and specifically claimed, which when combined serve to accomplish the above named result. My method is designed to produce a condensation in the upper regions of the atmospheric air in such quantities that a cloud will be formed from which a rainfall will be precipitated. Various means can be employed for accomplishing this object, namely a condensation of moisture suspended in the atmosphere, but the means hereafter named thought to be the most successful, namely to suddenly chill the atmosphere by rapid evaporation, and is also advisable to produce a heavy concussion in connection with the cooling in order to set the difference air currents in motion. This is 1891. 1891, they already had a patent for creating rain, right? August 6, 1913, the Rainmaker. September 4th, 1915, protecting from poisonous gas and warfare. They were already gassing, they already figured it out, right? Gassing people. 1920, processing apparatus for production of intense artificial clouds, fogs, and mist. March 1st, 1927, process of producing smoke clouds for moving aircraft. What does that sound like, people? Put your thinking cap on. Process of producing artificial fog. Atomizing attachment for plane engine exhaust. This is where chemtrails, again, chemtrails been around a long time. October 3rd, 1933, electrical system and method. 1934, airplane spray equipment. 1937, electric stream generator, referencing 3990987. October 15th, 1946, smoke producing mixture. You can go on and on with this, all the way down. All the way down. These are real. All right? Artificial ion clouds. We click. Look what we find. Background of the invention. The present invention relates to an apparatus and process for producing artificial ion cloud. More particularly, the invention relates to the production of an ion cloud by the release of the stratosphere of ablative coated microspheres of a compound which is photoionizable at ozone layer ambient temperatures. So, when you look at these weird storms pop up, now you need to go back and start looking at a lot of things. Because if they've been able to do this, they've already tested the idea of moving storms along with currents and ionosphere. You got to understand hurricanes can be guided. And if it's all by frequency and barium and aluminum and sometimes salt and other chemicals, then you can understand now that they know how to create storms. Let's not mention that the mention of dews hitting hurricanes. Heating up the ionosphere around it or heating up everything around it inside the eye, and it gets stronger, it spins faster, and it does all this stuff. HAARP and DARPA, these are real patents, people. These patents are real, and there's a huge chance that they're all government contracts now, or they're just government owned. MIC created, Lockheed Martin. All these big manufacturers are creating these things. Elon, sure, he's taking a contract on a couple things. Let's be realistic, okay? What I'm saying is this, guys. The whole point of tonight's show is to show you that they have the means to do this stuff. They have the technology and the ability. If they wanted to make the world a better place, they could make the world a better place. They have the money, they have the information, they have the infrastructure, they have the methods and the technology to push us into a new stratosphere as humans. We could really be changing the world right now. But we're not. What are they doing? Enslaving each other and going to war with these weapons. Believe it or not, it's up for you to believe. Merely my research and going through this stuff with you tonight. What I'm saying is that our elected officials have the means to change the world and excel the human race to a better place, but they refuse to do it. Stuff like Operation Popeye and making it rain could change crop deserts and stuff, and we could bring water to regions. We could do a lot of things. We could do so much, but they use the stuff to enslave us, to scare us, to use psy-ops, to make things happen and blame it on just God, active God terms like Palisades and Lahaina, like the flooding in West Virginia and North Carolina, like North Carolina and South Carolina being on fire last month. All of that was allegedly act of God, but if you know better, dudes exist. HAARP exists. A lot of these things exist where they can shoot lasers and start fires. Does this sound crazy? Absolutely. Do I believe it? It's not if I believe it, it's that can I find the information on it? And as of right now, I can find the information on a lot of things. And to be remotely honest with you, these patents are real. So if the patents are real and they're able to do it, and then they're showing you they have dues or direct energy weapons via the Navy, and now they're putting them on top of like Humvees and stuff now. Clearly the 5G towers, clearly the cameras everywhere, clearly the purple lights. There's something going on is what I'm really adding all this up to. They have the technology. They have it. And I'm not going to sit here and act like they don't. That's my thing. I won't act like this technology does not exist. It does. Now, are they using it on us? Some. Are they using all of it? I can't prove that. Are they using some? From what I can see, yeah. The weather, sure. The fires, sure. Are they questionable? Sure. Do I sound crazy? Hell yeah. Doesn't make it less true. I have the patents right here. Everything is frequency based. Everything is like extremely low frequency energy, or like, what is it? Here it is. Ultra low frequency, extreme low frequency, voice frequencies, very low frequency, low frequencies, medium, high, very high, ultra high, super high, extremely high. All right. And they show you what these are all for. Like, they understand frequency. And if you understand the Schumann resonance, then you understand that Earth has its own frequency or heartbeat or pulse that resonates. And right now, there's allegedly a blackout on the Schumann resonance. I don't know if it's come back. Haven't looked into it today. But I have looked into it previously, and there was alleged blackout on the resonance itself. So apparently the Earth is not pulsating or making its moves, which I find really funny because this is in the same week or two that they mentioned that there's deep underground cities and that the pyramids are power sources. See how this information starts slowly leaking out while we're talking about this? And I think that what they're trying to show us is what was maybe here previous. Like, there was something here operating differently as far as the frequency. They still know what it is, but they're not telling us. But they made it into a weapon. And again, I know it sounds crazy. Don't judge me. I can only tell you the information, but as I pull this information up and you're looking at it with me, you can clearly see I'm not fabricating this information. Like, I found a random source, I selected it, I went through and put these patents in. I found the patents. The patents are real patents. So therefore, if I cross-reference 2 or 3 times and it's all the same thing on 3 different browsers, Brave, DuckDuckGo, and Opera, then clearly, yeah, might want to look into this, guys. That's all I'm saying. Look into it. DARPA is the brainchild. HAARP is just a small piece of DARPA. When you look at DARPA, you need to start thinking about your cell phone, your AirPods that's frying your brain right now beyond leaf. Your brain is turning into mush. Satellites, low orbiting satellites, anything electronic, extra fancy missile defense. Man, DARPA got its hands in it. Medical, vaccines, anything you could think of, right? Because it can all be used for a national objective. As we talked about psy-ops earlier in the show, right? All right. Now, I'm going to cut to a video. I'm going to bring up another video. Let's see if I can find it. All right, I got Jack Cruz, Immaculate Concussion. So this one with DARPA, it talks about like the ability of them, like one of their weapons to create concussions from out of nowhere, like a concussion device. Just check it out. I thought it was a dope listen. Kind of strange. But when you guys sit down and you think about it, and after you watch this video or listen to it on Spotify, you look through the numbers because you're gonna wonder. Check this out.
It just started happening. I developed tinnitus, the ring in the ear, um, first at like in certain parts of the house, and I heard noises and voices, and I could not figure out, and then vibrations. These vibrations are experientially, it's like nothing else. There's no neurological disorder that feels like that. And I can tell you, as a patient and as a physician, experientially, it is very distinct. Your whole body vibrates. Your head is heavy, pressure. The sound is deafening. You get disoriented. Can't walk. Can't talk. It incapacitates you, and it can last from 10 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour and a half, and it's very painful. It's very uncomfortable, and it feels like concussion. After that, and you actually have symptoms of concussion, the movement of the eyes, the nystagmus, and this is why some people give it the name immaculate concussion.
And just to hear someone actually describe these unexplained health incidents, what transpires, somebody who never had these symptoms before suddenly comes on, no advance warning and no indication. I mean, concussion-like symptoms without a blow to the head. That's why they call this, that's why we're calling it the immaculate concussion. You know, it's hard to explain, but you hear from somebody who's a physician himself, goes to investigate, and develops that.
Okay, so why? I mean, do you get to the why or how or what's really going on?
All right. Listen, guys. This stuff is real. Havana syndrome is one of the few cases that dues are being used out in the open. They don't say dues, but they say immaculate concussion, Havana syndrome, instead of saying direct energy weapon, because Havana syndrome sounds more mysterious than you got hit with a particle beam to the side of the head or in your building, right? That's one of many DARPA patents. That's one of many devices some country has. Some reports say it's Russia. Some reports say it's us. It could be anybody. Hell, it could be China for all we know. It's all speculation. We don't really know where this stuff is coming from or who's really using it. It could be anybody. And that's the scary thing. We don't know. And then there's people who are able to make these things in their free time. You've heard the stories of people, making their own time machines and things going horribly wrong. You've seen the video of somebody opening a portal with sound, with frequency in his own house. Now, was that real? I can't tell you. I saw the video. I don't know if it's real. You got to be careful with stuff like that. AI is really good now. You can pretty much fake anything. You can fake me right now. That's how good it is. That's just where we're at right now with technology, and it's coming so fast and so quick. We don't understand that a lot of this is secondhand, third hand, and fourth hand technology. They've been using this stuff for some time, and we not knowing it. We just thinking like, oh, this is just random. No, they've had it for some time. Remember, the dark web was out before the internet was given to us, and it was used as a back channel for spies and journalists and other people doing illegal shit. Hard truth? Think about it. A lot of this stuff has already been here. So it's for us to understand how they're using it now, because if you're really starting to pay attention, it's out in the open. There's towers everywhere. There's strange poles in certain cities that look black, or they're like a monochrome gray or silver, and they look like just regular little towers, but they emit some type of frequency. Real facts. Like your Bluetooth monitor, like not your Bluetooth monitor, well, Bluetooth too, but let's say your internet box, that's emitting a signal. And then think about the fake trees that they put up that be really 5G towers, and then they start killing all the trees around it. I've seen that happen in Arizona few times. They had to replace the trees twice. They just made them little. So clearly, there's a cutoff point for that frequency or the waves coming out that doesn't kill anything. But I assure you, there there's something going on. Can't tell you exactly what it's leading to, other than possibly genetic manipulation, possibly riot control, possibly maybe they're actually like cleaning germs in the air with the purple lights everywhere showing up. It's not just a defect in the lights. There's a lot of stuff happening right now with DARPA and these inventions and patents and HAARP and weather. There's so much going on that no one really understands if could it be true. People believe it without a doubt that there is something going on. They honestly think, and I'm one of them. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't think that they're not using this stuff. Man, they're using this stuff. Look at Lahaina. Come on, man. Where are the children at from Lahaina? They're still missing. I've seen some news reports from the underground, like Real Raw News, that stated there was some type of conflict over those children when they found them. Listen, I can't tell you if that's real or not because I wasn't there. But what I do know is the children were missing and they never found them and they never said anything. The parents never went back to their houses. Lahaina is still mapped off. So what happened? The Palisades burned down, but it just so happens to be the place for the Olympics in 2028. And they're getting supposed to be a high-speed rail system through the same areas that were on fire. Is that a coincidence? Absolutely not. There's a smart city initiative with a whole list of cities. If you go on my Facebook page and go through my videos, it's in there. It's in there. What I'm saying is that the information is out there, the patents are out there, and the ideas and the psy-ops and the false flags are all out there. At this point, I've broken down how all of it's kind of playing out with really good examples. I like to think for myself and some good videos, right? So before I get off of here, what I want to say is this. 5G warfare is very real. PsyOps are real. False flags are real events made to look like something else. PsyOps are just really strong target marketing. More darker, right? DARPA is the brain or the think tank for the government, right? They do the heavy thinking. HAARP is like just an extension of DARPA and one of its projects. So is the internet, Facebook, Instagram, AI, Bluetooth, anything that you could think of, it's possibly come through DARPA somewhere down the line. And they use it for one thing, military use, agent use, intelligence use, and then we get it in another way, which is the commercial use. And they make their profit off of it tenfold. Be aware of what's going on and take the information that I give you with a grain of salt. Go research it. Find out. Find out if I'm telling you guys the truth. That's all. That's the only way you can really find out, right? Well, I put it out there. You got the videos. You'll listen to it on Spotify. You can watch it now, which is great. Take that time to figure it out. Take that time to look into these patents. Just take the time to do it, right? And maybe you'll find out that I'm not crazy and the people around you saying the stuff out loud aren't crazy either. Maybe it's just you denying what you already feel too, that there's somebody against us. There's a huge chance. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. It was a great show. I'm going to try to get this posted. It's a little late. See if I can get this uploaded tonight. If not, it'll be uploaded tomorrow along with clips, features, and all that good stuff, man. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. I'm Antonio Hare. This is the Rabbit Hole Report. Hanging with the Daily Rabbit Hole. Big platform now, all right? I appreciate you guys, man. Again, do your own research. Look into it. It's all real to some extent. Find out how it's being used against you also. You guys have a good night.